All right, number 6. We want to sketch the graph of the inverse, and the best way to do that is we're going to look at the ordered pairs that we have, and we're just going to switch positions with x and y. So on the graph given, we have a y-intercept, looks like -1, 0. So we're doing the inverse, looks like we have the ordered pair -1, 0. So the inverse should have the ordered pair 0, -1. And then another point that we have marked is 2 and then -2.25. Okay, so the inverse should have, if we reverse that order, -2.25 and 2. So we're going to look at and see which graph has these 2 points, because they should be on the inverse of the original function, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to look at 0. Don't go anywhere on the x and y axis. Sorry, x is 0, y is -1. So I'm sorry, I wrote this down backwards. This ordered pair, sorry, is actually 0, -1. So this is a point that we have. This point we wrote down correctly because it's given. So we should be looking for -1, 0. That is an error on my part, sorry. So if we start at the origin, we go -1, 0. This graph has that point, but then if we look at -2.25 and then up to, it does not have that point. This graph has -1, 0, and then if we imagine kind of small, hard to see, we go -2.25 and up to, that looks correct. That doesn't have the -1, 0, so B is going to be the best answer choice here. All right, 7, it looks like a definition. So it says for B is greater than 0, B is not equal to 1, what are the domain and range for the function log base B, x, and y? So this is a parent function. Some of those graphics you have in our course. We just want to refer back to those. But the graph of log, I believe, hugs the x-axis like this. Domain x has to be greater than 0. So put domain, and then x has to be greater than 0, and it looks like our range goes from -infinity to +infinity. So we were going from 0 to infinity here, and then -infinity to +infinity. So just want you to be familiar with the facts of the parent functions. So domain 0 to infinity, and so the domain is 0 to infinity because the range of its inverse, would be, that would be correct, domain. So this is correct domain, and the inverse, remember you switch x and y from the previous problem, and the domain becomes a range. Alright, so we got a part 2. The range was -infinity to positive, and the domain of its inverse would be the same.